They set sail under clear skies. No distress call, no SOS, and no wreckage ever found. Just silence. And questions that echo louder with time. From the hulking USS Cyclops in 1918 to the nuclear-powered USS Scorpion lost in the Cold War depths, to the modern tragedy of the Titan submersible in 2023. These were no mere rafts caught in storms. They were engineered, tracked, crewed by professionals, and still, they vanished in a world wrapped in satellites, where GPS can find a phone lost in the woods. How can an entire ship, or submarine, simply disappear? The answer, perhaps, is this. The ocean doesn't forget, but it doesn't always return what it takes. USS Cyclops, 1918. It was March 4th, 1918. The USS Cyclops, a 542-foot Navy collier, was making her way from Barbados to Baltimore. She never arrived. 306 souls aboard. No distress call, no debris, nothing. The Cyclops was no ordinary vessel. She was a workhorse, hauling coal, then manganese for steelmaking in World War I. Built for endurance, trusted by the Navy. But in her belly, she may have carried something else, a secret weight. Some claimed she was overloaded, dangerously so. An engineer even noted a cracked cylinder on one of her engines days before departure, but she sailed anyway. Then, the last message came in. Weather fair, all well. And then, nothing. Theories flooded in. Sabotage. Germany was hunting Allied ships with U-boats. Could the Cyclops have been torpedoed? The Germans denied it, and no wreckage ever surfaced to support the claim. Others pointed to structural failure, or a sudden storm, but no storm was recorded in the area, and the ship was built to survive far worse. Then came the whispers. A 1918 issue of the Evening News mentioned a sea monster, a sailor's tale, perhaps, but one that stirred imaginations. It wasn't the last time the deep would be blamed for taking something it shouldn't have. The most enduring theory. The Bermuda Triangle. The Cyclops disappeared within its hazy, infamous borders. A triangle drawn from Miami to Bermuda to Puerto Rico. A region where compasses go haywire, and ships are said to vanish without trace. But that's just it. No trace, not a bolt, not a barrel, not a single plank. More than a century has passed. And the USS Cyclops remains one of the largest non-combat losses in U.S. naval history. Unsolved, unseen, and unnervingly silent. USS Scorpion, 1968. 50 years after the Cyclops vanished, another vessel disappeared. This time, it was armed with nuclear warheads, and it was watching the Soviets. The USS Scorpion, a skipjack-class submarine, fast, silent, deadly, with 99 men aboard. She was on her way home to Norfolk, Virginia. The Cold War was at its peak, and the ocean, once again, swallowed a ship whole. There was no final message, no warning, only a failure to arrive. For months, nothing. Then, whispers of an explosion. Hydroacoustic sensors had picked up something, a distant thud, deep, final. 5 months later, the wreck was found, 3,000 meters down, broken in two, resting on the Atlantic floor. But the truth didn't rise with it. Some claimed a Soviet attack, a silent war beneath the waves gone loud. Others believed in sabotage, or a firefight hidden from the public. But the official theory, a malfunctioning torpedo, one of Scorpion's own, turning against her, exploding from inside, instant death, no time to surface, no time to breathe. Yet, the U.S. Navy kept much of the investigation classified. Even today, portions remain redacted. protected or buried. And so conspiracy took root. Did the Scorpion die in combat, or did the ocean take advantage of human error? The wreck is still there, a graveyard of steel and silence, proof that even our most advanced machines can fall like stones. Titan submersible, 2023. They called it the Titan, a carbon fiber submersible built to reach the Titanic. But in 2023, it became a tragedy of its own. On June 18th, 5 people descended into the deep. Among them, a billionaire explorer, a Titanic expert, and the CEO of OceanGate. Their goal, to glimpse the wreck of a ship that sank over a century ago. They never came back. An hour and 45 minutes into the dive, contact was lost. No signal, no communication, only a countdown no one could hear. The search was frantic. Planes scanned the surface, sonar ships scoured the deep. But in the end, the answer had already come. The U.S. Navy had detected an implosion, a violent collapse, instant, catastrophic. At nearly 4,000 meters below, the pressure is unimaginable. 8,000 pounds per square inch. Every square inch. The Titan didn't just break, it was crushed, compressed in milliseconds. No time to realize, no time to suffer. This wasn't the failure of nature, it was the failure of confidence. Warnings had been raised about the sub's design, its materials, its safety protocols, but ambition can be louder than caution. 100 years after the Titanic sank, another vessel fell victim to the same sea, the same pressure, the same darkness. The difference? Titan was modern, equipped with tech, tracked by satellites, and still, it disappeared. The ocean doesn't care what century you're in. It never did. MH370 and Mary Celeste. In 2014, a modern passenger jet vanished from the sky. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, 239 people aboard, a Boeing 777, massive, trackable, seemingly unmissable. And yet, it disappeared. It left Kuala Lumpur on a clear night, bound for Beijing. Midway through the flight, it turned. Off course, off radar, into silence. No one knows why. Satellites later picked up faint pings, suggesting it flew for hours over the Indian Ocean. Then, nothing. Years passed. Debris washed up on distant shores. A wing here, a panel there. But the fuselage, the black boxes, the truth, still missing. It was a plane, not a ship. But the ocean doesn't discriminate. It hides what it wants. And MH370 became the modern reminder of just how vast and unknowable the sea still is. But the mystery of vanishing vessels isn't new. Centuries before satellites, there was the Mary Celeste. She was found drifting in the Atlantic in 1872. Sails up, cargo untouched. No sign of struggle, no lifeboat. No crew. Every person aboard had vanished. Their last meal was still set on the table. No storm, no pirate, no clear answer. Theories ranged from mutiny to madness, seaquakes to sudden waterspouts. Even alien abduction, whispered in later decades, but nothing fit. The ship was seaworthy, supplies were full, and yet the people were gone. Just gone. The Mary Celeste became legend, the symbol of nautical enigma, proof that some disappearances defy logic, and that the sea doesn't always need to sink you to erase you. Why the ocean keeps secrets. We like to believe the earth is mapped, that satellites see everything. That mystery has been exiled to fiction. But that's a lie we tell ourselves. Over 70% of the planet is ocean, and more than 80% of it remains unmapped, unexplored, and unseen. We've mapped more of the surface of Mars than we have of our own seafloor. The ocean is not just vast, it is layered, pressurized, shifting. It grinds, buries, and consumes. When a ship goes down, it may fall for miles, through pitch black, through crushing weight, until it lands on an abyssal plain, flat and featureless, like the surface of the moon. Wrecks don't always look like wrecks. They disintegrate, scatter, become part of the seabed, and if currents move fast enough, even the heaviest debris can vanish like sand through fingers. Our sonar, as powerful as it seems, is still limited. It can miss entire mountain ranges beneath the waves, so what hope does it have of finding a scattered hull? In shallow waters we search, and sometimes find, but in the deep, we guess, we model, we hope, and the ocean keeps its silence. It isn't malevolent. It doesn't hide things out of spite. It simply doesn't care what we want. It has no loyalty to the living, and no obligation to return the dead. They left behind no messages, no beacons, only questions. A steel ghost drifting alone, a submarine torn in silence, a capsule crushed before it could cry out. We remember their names, Cyclops, Scorpion, Titan, and more. But the ocean remembers something else. The moment they vanished, the instant pressure won. Sometimes it gives back a piece, a wing on a beach, a shattered hull miles below. But most of the time, it keeps the ending to itself. Because down there, in the dark, stories break apart. Time dissolves, and silence reigns. We chase closure. The sea offers mystery. We want answers. The deep offers awe. And maybe that's what draws us in, again and again. Not just the danger, not just the science, but the chance to ask, what else waits below? The next ship, the next mystery, the next question swallowed whole. Subscribe for the next chapter, because the deep still has stories to tell.